Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the next section of the conference, here we have with us eminent leaders and educators coming together for the panel discussion on future of Indian tech education, Reskilling India. Our first panelist, Professor Rajesh Khanna, President, NIIT University. He's obtained his BTech, MTech, and PhD in Chemical Engineering from IIT Kanpur, an institution which has been acknowledged as a nursery of nurturing students, shaping faculty into knowledge providers of repute, and a mother institution for shepherding later institutions. He did his postdoctorate research from CNRS Mulhouse in France and was an honorary visiting research fellow at the University of New Wales, Sydney. Our next panelist, Dr. Madhu Chitkara. She is the Pro-Chancellor at Chitkara University, Punjab and Chitkara University, Himachal Pradesh. A seasoned academician and an edupreneur, Dr. Chitkara co-founded Chitkara Educational Trust in 1998 with a vision to impart quality education to seekers of the region. Since then, the 4 organizations under the ambit of the trust, 2 universities and 2 schools, have grown to become the most sought-for place for the students seeking quality education. Dr. Chitkara has a PhD in education and has had a diversified career with variegated experience in the field of education spanning 4 decades. Knowledgeable and focused, she has adeptly managed numerous academic ventures and leads by example. She is warm and sincere, always willing to walk the extra mile to deliver on her promises. Let's welcome Dr. Chitkara. Our next panelist, Dr. Mani Madhukar, Program Manager, Global University Programs, IBM Research. Dr. Mani has 16 plus years of experience in academia. He holds a doctorate in computer engineering and an executive program in management from McIntyre School of Commerce, University of Virginia. Passionate about learning and sharing knowledge, his work areas include academic program management, cloud application development, mentoring startups, curriculum design, project management, electronic content management, competency development, IBM Cloud pre-sales for infrastructure and platform services. As part of IBM, he has worked in various roles across different technologies, including cloud, blockchain, Internet of Things, data science, DevOps, and IBM Watson. Mani, to his credit, has patent on blockchain, research papers in national and international conferences and journals, including SCI publications, chapter contribution to books, including Springer, reviewer to few journals, and authored blogs on cloud, big data, machine learning, sentiment analysis, IBM Watson, recommender systems. Our next panelist, Valan Sivasubramaniam, Manager Systems Engineering, Fortinet, with over 20 years of experience in design, implementation, and management of information security solutions and compliance requirement. He is currently working as a Regional Manager Systems Engineering, Fortinet, based out of Bangalore, and responsible for leading the Regional Systems Engineering team, understanding customers' information security requirement, and architecting solutions using next generation firewall, UTM, sandboxing, and AP, responsible for new product technology introduction and leveraging the support infrastructure like TAC, professional services, and trainings for end-to-end security offerings from Fortinet range of products. The session is moderated by Sunil Rajguru, editor, DataQuest. Sunil is editor of DataQuest and PCQuest magazines along with CIOL.com. He does regular video features like PCQ, #TechTalk, and CIOL Tech News of the Week. Rajguru has over 20 years experience having worked with IT research firm IDC India, tech lifestyle magazine Living Digital, and HindustanTimes.com. Over to you, Sunil, with such an illustrious panel.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion titled Future of Indian Tech Education, Reskilling India. Now, as you know, the last 2 years have been very tough for everyone, and the education sector was no different. But if you see, technology is always at the cutting edge of the industry, and the education has to reflect that. So when we talk of the reskilling of the Indian workforce, it begins with the, like, especially engineering college students. It begins with the reskilling of the campuses, with the reskilling of the teachers, and with the reskilling of students. So to discuss that, today we have with us Professor Rajesh Khanna, President, NIIT University. Welcome, Professor Khanna.
Thank you. This is indeed a vexing question, that troubles everyone. And we have a solution. We can find a solution to the current issue, but that brings us to the fundamental question of do we always react, or we find a way so that we convert whatever is required into a transferable skill. I think the time has come to see the essence behind a skill, so that like a Lego piece, you can synthesize whatever skill you need. I think that's more important. So an analysis of what skills are required as a response to the current pandemic and changes, digitalization of everything almost. So we look at those skills, and those skills would be from elementary, how to handle the digital payments, to digital gateways, to platforms, to meetings like these, to being able to access different screens at same time, so that you can have access to different materials, and then combine all of that asynchronous material into one, and then understand things. So all those skills we will understand, and then of course to make all of this happen, and then the associated security issues those come when we do all of this. So every action would require a corresponding security solution and threat, more threats. So those, of course, we'll discuss about as we go forward. But my take would be that we need to look at all the skills and then break them into smaller components. And those smaller components can be then assembled as and when required. So the whole education has to now recognize that there are some transferable skills and basic components of skills and knowledge, not just skills, knowledge also. So I make a small difference between practice-oriented schooling and knowledge-oriented schooling. So we break them into components, and then we assemble them whenever required. I'll take a minute to explain this. So we look at the fundamentals of physics, chemistry, biology, maths, data science, humanities, philosophy, social sciences, and we break them into components. So what is essentially a physicist method, or a chemist method, or a mathematician's method or approach? And then whenever required, we say, okay, what skills from mathematics can we use in solving this problem? Or what skills from philosophy can be used? Or what skills from physics can be used in this? So that is, decomposition at one level, and then synthesis as and when required. Of course, in between these fundamental breakages, decomposed structures and the actual skill, this whole engineering education will come. But I think it's a good idea to break the skills into the components of basic knowledge sources and the path of engineering through which they can be then synthesized to skills. So that is my take. Time to go deeper.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for those thoughts, Professor Khanna. And also to continue with the discussion on the panel discussion, we have with us Dr. Madhu Chitkara, Pro-Chancellor, Chitkara University. Welcome, Dr. Madhu.
Thank you. Thank you for making me a part of this panel discussion. And I think this is, for the last so many webinars, we were just talking about that how the lockdown happened and what all we have done. And today you just asked that what are the new skills that have been picked up by the students as a result of lockdown and the online system. So if we talk about that, the COVID pandemic has taught each and every person, you name any person in the educational setup, not only in education, but the other profiles also, and other professions also. So there was something very new, which is far relevant in today's time. So the new skill sets have emerged all of a sudden, which perfectly resonate that when we say that necessity is the mother of all inventions. So that was such a necessity, and that was a challenge came to us. And I think we all made it as an opportunity, and we have learned so many paths to be followed. So if I open up this quote that a little bit in the context of our education system, during the last 18 months. Now it is almost 2 years. And we must acknowledge that and appreciate the realignment of all the stakeholders. If you see the university setup or the educational setup, there are different stakeholders. So that may be students, the faculty members, all the researchers, even the university administration and management, and the industry also. So I think all the stakeholders were together, and they were trying to do something very different, very innovative. So I will just go through, I have a time, so I will go through all the stakeholders one by one. First of all, I was just saying that the first stakeholder, and which is very important, is the students. And during this pandemic adversity and during the lockdown period, it was, as I said, that there was a great opportunity for all the university managements and all the people involved in the education system, that how the digital campus is to be developed. I will give you an example of Chitkara University, where I am working. And in Chitkara University, luckily we were very, very digital. And within a week's time, I think 22nd March was the time. And within a week, we all were able to transform ourselves from the offline mode to the online mode. So it required huge investments, and luckily some was done, some we did during the lockdown. So it was, and the faculty was, some of them, I can say 70 to 80% faculty was very, very comfortable in the online mode. And the others were trying to realign themselves for the new skill set, because it was all online teaching, and all of a sudden they were to change themselves from offline to online. So I think that was only a challenge. And for that, we did the hand-holding of the people who were not very comfortable in doing the online things. And the most challenging situation was for the students. And they were of the diverse group. Some were very slow, some were average, some were very fast learners. But when you are having the offline classes, in person, you are meeting, the teachers are meeting to the students. It's very easy to understand that which student is slow learner and how to use the strategies for them. But during lockdown and during online mode, it was a very different altogether ball game. So I think that for that, the first and the foremost things students learned have been the soft skills, namely the flexibility to learn, their self-motivation, and listening to the others. I think that was very, very, very different, and it was very challenging for them that they have to listen to others and they were not physically meeting each other. So I think if we talk about the hard technical skills, which most of the students acquired during the lockdown, that was the coding skills, which was altogether missing. But I think they have tried to learn those, and they've tried to develop the systems, and they were working towards the solving the societal problems. I will give you one example, that during that period, there were so many online hackathons and there were so many competitions held. We also did one in the campus offline, that online mode. So students participated and they tried to give us the solutions where the society is facing. So I think that was a good thing, and there was a good skill set which was developed amongst the students. And the most important skill students learned during the lockdown was the empathy. I think this skill, otherwise most of the students, particularly in the undergrad level, is missing. So I think if I sum up my reply, I think students enhance their hard technical skills in their respective fields of specialization, and they supplemented it with different skills. I think that is my take on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madhu. That empathy was an interesting
Yes.
take. Usually we do not think on those lines.
Yes.
So anyway, I'll go to the industry, because we have heard from Professor Khanna and Dr. Madhu talk about it. So I'd like to take the industry view on what has happened in the last 2 years, because they have implemented it. And like one very interesting thing we learned is that the learning of coding has increased. So our next panelist is Dr. Mani Madhukar, Program Manager, Global University Programs, IBM Research. So maybe if you can add on to that.
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for inviting me on this panel. So as rightly said, right, Dr. Khanna and Dr. Madhu also talked about the same, right? Pandemic has really increased the way, or rather the agility of Indian education system. The way people have been actually approaching to learning has really changed, right? So we typically call it as disruption. This is what is disruption. And pandemic actually enforced the disruption upon us. So whether it's education industry, whether it's, supply chain, almost everywhere, right? And empathy was really one important factor, which really was the reason why we were able to be so agile, so absorbing, right? So yeah, great point brought in there. From industry point of view, right? So I completely second the thoughts of Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Madhu, right? The students have really picked up learning big time, right? I have been in this space for long, right? And I can say from my experience that there was a natural resistance to online learning earlier. People are more comfortable in an offline face-to-face mode of learning. But the way system pivoted, right? These faculties were actually taking online classes. The students were sort of coming to the classes, learning in a way or the other, not exactly the way we would have wanted it to, but then they were still learning, and that was very important from our point of view, right? So, and not just that, if you see across, ma'am talked about hackathons. I can tell you from my experience, we ran a lot of initiatives. There is one called Keep on Learning. We run IBM Hack Challenge. There was a scaled up participation like anything in last 2 years. So compared to whatever number of students we used to reach in previous years before pandemic really, brought in a lot of students who were interested, curious to learn about emerging technologies. So IBM runs a lot of learning initiatives, right, for faculty members and students across, different offerings that we have. So one of that is IBM Academic Initiative, through which we offer no charge learning, no charge access to licensed software and all. And within the last 2 years, phenomenal increase we have seen in the number of subscribers, number of students, number of faculties who have taken online courses or who have actually downloaded the software, and who are basically, so rightly said, right? People have developed hands-on skills in this pandemic period compared to what they have been doing earlier, right? Second is they have really moved on to that project-based learning approach, what actually Rajesh was talking about, right? You knock down the different components and then you talk about more practice-oriented learning, right? So that's what is the way to go, right? So we see students have really adopted to that approach of project-based learning, and which is apt because they have been doing some coding, they have been learning various hands-on technologies, both in terms of whether it's AI, whether it's cybersecurity or cloud, blockchain, quantum, you name any emerging technology. And there has been a huge traction, from students and faculty members. Faculty members have really enriched, big time, I see in the last 2 years. They have, so many faculty development programs have been run by various colleges, AICTE, and I see good number of participation, which was not the case earlier, the way they have really, put their best foot forward this time, which is really appreciable. I completely, say that. So this has been really a good experience from a learning point of view, from an education point of view. The way academic system has moved further, the way they have become more agile, the way students have become more open to learning new things, which is really commendable. Right. Back to you, Sunil, sir.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Dr. Mani. It's very heartening to know that the participation and skill sets have already increased. So I guess we have to, continue going down that path. So, to learn more about the industry thing, I'd like to introduce our next panelist, Valan Siva Subramanian, Manager Systems Engineering in Fortinet. So if you could add to what everyone has said.
Sure. It's the same as Dr. Madhu had referred. He mentioned it as the disruption. So in our terminology, we used to refer it as digital transformation. So that is an initiative, which we are pushing, the industry was moving towards, but it was not happening at the pace that was needed. In pandemic, in a way, right, got it in place, like, whichever was being pushed for a very long time, happened in no time. Like people had to adapt, to ensure that the learning goes on. Like, even the situation has turned out difficult, but people adapted ways of remote learning. Even the exams, which used to be proctored, wherein there used to be a very strict mechanism to monitor exams online. People today now are able to get it done. Like people even allowed students to take those online exams from home. Like even Pearson VUE exams, which have a very strict kind of monitoring and other requirements. They were able to do that using technologies like AI. Like so today, we had adapted to the scenario, come out of it, and I think very beautifully we managed it. And there are some pros also. Like today, as ma'am said, people had improved on the soft skills, the way people have to manage time. Like in fact, if you look at positively, you avoid a lot of commute, which was sometimes what was not needed. So people are able to effectively make use of it. And in fact, from Fortinet as a company in this scenario, what our company did is they opened up the complete cybersecurity educational content that we had. We had 8 levels of certification, which typically used to cost some $3,000 kind of. That is a kind of content that used to be commercially sold. Those content was made available for public, for anyone. Earlier it used to have some criteria only for partners, only for employees. There are restrictions. The same content was made available for everyone public, and there's a huge response. As Madhukar said, there's an exponential increase in number of people who started adapting or doing online trainings as well as getting themselves certified. I know a lot many people who have kind of taken up a new lease or made a change and equip themselves in cybersecurity. So that's the domain I'm from. And today it has helped in a way to confidently continue this. As I said, right, be it an online exam or for a faculty to confidently do a questionnaire, prepare it, share it, and then have a system or process in place wherein they could avoid or with confidence even conduct tests online. That's also happening, I believe, in a way. So we have adapted it pretty well, and I think adopting this technology, and technology today had a lot of solution. There are leap ahead wherein the adoption of the field was not that much earlier, and with this scenario, I think people have adapted how to securely work remotely, be it from home, be it from anywhere. That is what we are moving towards. Like if it's an authentication, right, where a username password alone was needed, today people adapt for one-time passwords. So technology has enabled people to confidently access the content and then go ahead with the same learning as well as be it learning, testing, or even on higher education, going ahead confidently. That's what I see. So technology is there, and we will be adapted, and we could see that going forward, right, we will accelerate our overall progress towards to the next stage, evolving to the next stage, in a bigger way.
Thank you for that, Volan. So it's very nice to hear all that, because India is leaders in academia and technology, but I'm hearing terms like empathy and soft skills. So that is what is going to make our institutions complete, our students complete. So it's also nice to see, because it is going to be the industry academia collaboration, which is going to transform everything and take it forward. So I'd like to now move to you, Professor Khanna. Dr. Madhu talked about the students learning coding. Dr. Mani said that there was a resistance to change, and Valan talked about digital transformation, which we never used to hear in the educational sector before. We have started hearing it more. So I would like to ask Professor Khanna, the world is changing rapidly, and so is technology, making many of the current jobs redundant. What kind of skill sets and knowledge foundations are important for equipping students to adapt in this market of change? Are Indian universities equipped to handle the transformation? I know you have already covered, some of these things in your opening address. So maybe if you can go forward on this.
Okay, Sunil, that is indeed something which we should be proud of as an Indian, because of our educational system responded beautifully and effectively. Not only the teachers, but the system itself, everyone. So all students got a chance to, complete their degrees. And of course, there can be questions about the compromises or, the rigor, etc. But, I'm sure 10 years from now, we'll look back with a lot of pride at what we have achieved as a nation in educational system with all the constraints. The policies were in place, they came out very quickly. So proactive, policymakers, proactive teachers, institutes, and a lot of empathy, ma'am, from all sides, from teachers. And if you look, Ministry of Education has a whole new big initiative for the first time, looking at mental and social health. And then so many counselors and school principals, everyone was. So it was understood, and the whole system responded. Now, coming back to the practice part of it, what keeps the civilization growing or sustaining the civilization? So the tools of the trade. and the economy running. Because see, higher education responds to, as I said in my keynote also, responds to the economy part more than any other part of the civilization. And which means that, we have a job to do. We need those practices. So I would divide the education system into two parts. One would be practice oriented, which solves the problem, gets things done. So mostly an engineering type of thing. And of course, does that in a sustainable and allowable way. The second part is to equip ourselves for growth and future. So that's the research part and the knowledge part. So while the practice part is very, very effective now. So what this pandemic has done and the digital transformation has done is that the practice part has become very, very good. And ma'am also hinted at not hinted, I mean, she said it boldly that the coding part and hands-on approach has, improved. And so has the other soft skills, which is in fact a very, very welcome addition. And that has come from the informal sector. That does not come from the educational system, formal educational system, that's university and colleges. So empathy is something that came from the informal education system that the society is and the world around us is. So that contributed to but this practice part, Sunil, is perfect, now. I mean, it has never been better. And fortunately, the practice part, more in demand because of the digital transformation, is that it has taken a lead into the new technologies, and especially cloud-based technologies, because everyone has to go to the cloud, and then there are not many people who understood cloud, who could work on clouds. There are not many people who could work on new web kind of tools, new languages in which the websites are designed, and websites are not, now just not a source of information. They're very functional websites. So new language has been there, and then new practitioners are there. So practice-wise, I would say the AI, of course, artificial intelligence practice has always been the forte there for more people. The machine learning part, in all parts of information technology. So why we should be wary of that this feedback loop of picking up a skill, and I want to say it again, we have to be very careful of this. There's this feedback loop of earning a very high salary and moving up on the corporate ladder in your job because of this newly acquired skill. And cyber security and cloud is a case in point. If you look at the statistics, you'll find out that suddenly salaries are doubled, and people are companies are doing all they can to hold on to who they have, and reskilling also. So that is something that is happening. So the danger is that this feedback from the industry, from the society to earning more would stop people from concentrating on these fundamentals and the building blocks. And so that can be a very, very big damage that this whole not euphoria, but this whole movement can do and cause, which would be very difficult. And add to that, the online mode of education and the disruption in the learning that has taken place. Some people, I mean, some generation has actually suffered because of this in terms of what they could have learned as a wholesome education and in-person setup. So if you add these two together, it's a killer combination that actually takes people away from fundamental research. So what we need to do is to see that we have enough interested people, and it's very attractive for people to still, and IBM has always plays a part in that. And, we have, one person from there, you may, think about this, not just the practice oriented, but making it attractive for student to go into, research mode and look at the fundamentals. And once again, I'll come back to that theme. How do you respond to a crisis? Every time there can be another crisis. This time it was a crisis which the response was digital, because it was social distancing was the issue, and the response was digital. Some other crisis may want another response. Then what do you do? So in a way, I would say, I'm a great believer in fortunes. And so you had a crisis, but the solution was within your hands. You could do it. But there can be a crisis where the solution is not digitalization. The solution is something else. Then how would you find those resources? How would you then convert to people, to those experts in those skills? So I would still believe that more than ever, we need to strengthen the basic research methods and make it attractive for people to see the link between fundamentals of statistics and data science, you see, and analytics and machine learning. So if you're a good statistician, you can be a very good data scientist. This link is not there. I mean, it's not advertised. So we, or more than ever, we need to go back to mathematics and all physical engineering. When we talk about all this digitalization, we look at where is the material. I being a chemical engineer and being trained in that and being with materials all the time. I mean, in my in my thinking, I never thought that we'll be short of material, on this planet to, make devices, or the supply chain, that would be a problem. You see, so all those issues have come up, which means that for all digital part, and that's the strength of digitalization, by the way, that for each job that digitalization brings, there will be 4 other jobs, and they would all relate to the physical part of the world. So it's a very balanced growth in that sense. And but we need to concentrate on those and see that we have a mechanism by which this learning technology or learning teaching methods relate the fundamentals to practice. So a lot of test cases, as we have these Harvard Business Reviews and test cases, where we would see engineers, experts, professors coming up with these links and these roadmaps, that how an equation in mathematics leads to a particular device. Those kind of things have to be cherished and explained, all the more than any other time in history. So I would say practice is very, very good, is very remunerating. People have taken up to it. Their resources are there. The businesses have responded. The policy has responded. The students have responded. The colleges have responded. Everybody has responded. But in all this euphoria or rush, our ability to counter or to respond to a future pandemic would suffer. That can suffer. That's my only worry, by not investing in enough research and physical engineering. After all, I mean, it was the vaccine. That is nothing about digitalization in that. Of course, as a service, but the core was biology and genome, and genetics. So we should, go back to, I mean, look at the mask. The mask came from textile engineers.
Yeah.
You see. So with this, I think practice very good, but research part, we need to be careful. And organizations like IBM have to step in to make that research part very lucrative.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
put more stress. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor Khanna, for talking of the achievements, opportunities, and even the pitfalls and the dangers that could happen. So I very much like the concept of the feedback loop. So I think at the national level, we have to ensure that the feedback loop we are seeing is positive and it's not a negative loop. So thanks for that. So, and then I'd like to move to Dr. Madhu, like Professor Khanna talked of all this. I'd like to maybe talk something about, collaboration. So can you speak a bit about industry-aligned outcome-based learning and how important is direct collaboration with the industry for that? What are the technology tools that are helping universities related to students' learning and to understand at a much deeper level what the needs of the students are?
I think you have asked a very appropriate question, which I was thinking that it should be asked from an education institute. Because Dr. Mani is there, and I think Mr. Walam is there. Both of them are from the industry, and Dr. Khanna is from the academia. So I think there is a strong need for collaboration between the institutes with the industry, and the resultant should be we should create the center of excellences. So when I say the industry academia interface, or when I say the industry academia collaboration, it should definitely not be limited to only hiring the students. Normally, what we have understood is from the industry academia interface is that I am connected to that particular industry and the university is doing well with them and they have a good cordial relationship and they will come, they will hire the students and they will go. That is not industry academia interface and that is not industry academia collaboration. What in my mind should be that industry should come forward to provide most contemporary knowledge to the faculty in the universities. Now, you know that Python was started, and in computer science engineering, they started with the Python, and our university professors, and not from Chitkara, but from all over, across the world, the people who have done computer science engineering and those who were the teachers, they have done it very long back, they did those things. Now, it was a very new concept, and that time we asked the industry to come and just do the brainstormings with them, and that what actually is Python and how they have to start with it. So I think when the industry will come forward to provide, and IBM is doing a great job because our professors have attended so many sessions with them. So I think that is a need of the hour, that they should provide most contemporary knowledge to our faculty in the universities, which they can further pass on to the students. I think this will be a chain reaction where students will be able to understand, and it will be becoming a better professionals, and they will contribute in the cause of innovation, which will be leading to the increased number of patents and other intellectual properties. So I will give you one example, that during this pandemic, when we started doing this, and because it was very easy for doing the online sessions with the industry, so the resultant was that we have come across with so many patents applied during that COVID time. And now the result is that we have already crossed 1,000 patents, and we have already filed that, and some of the commercialization stage, and the research papers are there. So I think more number of high index publications will be the resultant of when our professors, when our students are interacting with the industry. And then it can increase in the innovators per lakh population in the country, which is the need of the hour. When we compare the population of people who are in the innovations or here into the research compared to the Chinese researchers, that is a very, you can say, big gap between those. So now this is a time, and luckily, which in my first answer also I said that this challenge, we should take it as an opportunity and start working on these collaborations. In online mode, it is very easy. You don't have to travel. The industry is always very busy. Academia is busy with the classroom situations. So in odd times, we can collaborate with the industry and talk about it. Now, academia is always ready to request to industry. And I think at Chitkara, we are very, very lucky, very fortunate that the industry was always there to help us out. Now, I will give you some examples. In very short, I will give you examples that we have many degree programs offered by the School of Health Sciences, and they all are collaboration with the Fortis Healthcare. We are in the north of the country, and here in Mohali, we have a Fortis hospital, and we are working very closely with them. So we have some degree programs where our healthcare students are going there. Then we have a Chitkara Business School, which is a B school, and it is offering a very unique 2-year MBA program in human resource management. And it is with the Manpower Group. Everybody knows about Manpower Group, which is a leading manpower consultancy in the world. So these are some of the courses where we are working very closely with the industry. You see that Cadence, we are working with NXP Semiconductors, we are working. And then the MTech program we started dedicatedly with, which was offered by Virtusa. So I think there are so many opportunities which was given by the industry to the universities where we work together. Parexel, you know that in pharmacies field there is a Parexel program. So we were offered program, and they were very open up about this, that industry can come up to academia to start those type of courses. And for that, we have started the research labs, and there was so much of funding. So I think these type of programs where industry academia are working together, we can do wonders, and it will be a two-way process. Both industry and academia, they will work together, they will join hands. And I think if the researchers are doing something and there is a result of that particular research, the industry will come forward to take that research components into their industrial products. I think that will be win-win for industry and academia both, and that will be in the national interest. That was my take on this. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, I agree with you. At least one part is about research and patents, research papers and patents. I mean,
Yes.
forget US and China, even we are behind Japan and many
Yes.
European countries. I do not find ourselves even in the top 10 list, even
Yes.
though we are third, fourth. So I think that is one very valid point. I hope we can take it forward. So, I'd like to go to Dr. Mani and, I mean, there's one common theme that industry has to be, more involved. I mean, there was a time maybe the student would do an internship, there would be campus placements and some research products. But now I think it is clear that the industry has to play a role right from day one when the student enters. So I think there is a much greater integration that is required. Already, of course, you're doing it, but we still have to scale it further. So I'd like to ask you, what kind of technologies is the industry providing to academic institutions to help them with their research and building up skills for students to handle the post-pandemic world? And what about the role of data science going forward? I mean, we have discussed this, people know, but maybe you could tell us something about the specifics of all these things.
Sure, Sunil. First of all, thank you, Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Madhu, for acknowledging the efforts that IBM has been putting with academia, and really appreciate your thoughts on that. So for us, look, academia is a key stakeholder, Sunil, right? That's one of the reasons why we are heavily invested into, we have multiple teams that work in very close collaboration with academic institutions span India. And we have global programs for that matter. So it's not only, India. So it's globally we are working with academic institutions. And we have been, working on multiple fronts with them. So one of the major issues that the academia faces is when they are skilling or upskilling, be it faculty or the students, is access to the technology, right? So that is one thing that we have made available to them via a program called IBM Academic Initiative, wherein we provide them licensed enterprise grade software at no charge. So whether it's access to IBM Cloud, or whether it's access to, let's say SPSS Modeler, or it's access to Cognos Analytics, which are leading tools, enterprise tools in the market. We have made all of them available to academia, and we have really seen a good consumption of these tools in more last 2 years, particularly, right? It's really a great thing to see. So that's one thing that we have really, put forth on a lot of investment on. Second is we have made a lot of courseware available, right? And when I say courseware, they have been made available both in like a instructor-led format as well as in a self-learning format. Now, we have been seeing a great traction where students and faculties have been phenomenally doing a lot of self-learning, which is absolutely a great thing to do, right? So all these platforms like IBM Academic Initiative or IBM Skills Academy provide for a lot of self-learning courses. Those are like hands-on. It's not just a theory part of it. So what a faculty or a student get experience on is they actually work on some projects, they work on some tools, they work on some use cases, within the ambit of that learning, that courseware. And it's absolutely free, right? The courses available through Academic Initiative are absolutely free. And they lead to digital badges. So not just you're learning, but then you can also obtain a credential, a digital credential in form of a badge, which is made available through Credly, which you can, use in terms of amplifying your profile, right? Your resume or your social media, handles, you can put them there in order to let people know what you are aware of, what level of technology do you know of. That's one piece. Second, we have also opened up something called as a digital asset, a data asset exchange, right? Which provides for data sets for budding engineers, researchers, and all, right? Again, it's a no charge repository. Any researcher can go there. They can, download data sets under ODL from there. And the data sets are available across varied domains, depending upon whether you're working on ML or you're working on some other technology domain, right? You will find enough number of data sets which you can download from it. This is one of our very bigger concern for faculty members or researchers. Where do they get the data set from, right? So it's one-stop place where people can go and actually download the data sets from. IBM Quantum, right? We have made a quantum computer available on cloud at no charge. So faculties, students who want to do some work or research in terms of quantum, they can always go and leverage that. So The academic initiative portal also provides for learning resources. There is a complete structured course around quantum. And we keep doing FDPs. Recently, we have concluded an FDP on quantum in collaboration with EICTE, which was hosted by MNIT Jaipur. So we have been actually doing a lot of these sort of learning enablements. And what we see in last 2 years, there has been a lot of interest in cloud, hybrid cloud, cybersecurity, data science, as Rajesh sir aptly put that forward, right? Machine learning people have been really working a lot. Researchers have been working, big time on that. And not just, like a black box approach. People now talk about explainability in AI, right? Transparency in AI, right? Bias and biased AI. We talk about that, right? So, which is really a great sign the way academia has adopted to the emerging areas in AI, which is fundamentally very good, right? As I see it from here. So what we see is a lot of technology resources which are made available in emerging technologies. As I said, cloud, cybersecurity, data science, quantum, IoT, blockchain. They have been consumed in a lot from researchers and students, which is actually a great sign. So that is where we see a lot of learning going into.
Thank you, Dr. Mani. I like that free courseware, and it is actually, empowering everyone with their tech skills. It doesn't matter whether it is the teacher or the student.
Right.
So I feel that will go a long way forward. So, now I'd like to come to you, Valan, because, so much is happening. Everybody is doing so much, but unless everything is secured, it will all come to naught. Because once upon a time, you had to secure the fort, in the office and all. But now you have to secure every level, every layer, and every device, every institution. So it is really, a formidable job now. So you mentioned about security in your opening, but as educational institutes undergo digital transformation and online education goes to the next level, what about the importance of cybersecurity for the education system? So maybe if you can talk something about the cybersecurity, and do you think that some basic cyber security training is necessary for all the students and maybe even the teachers?
Yes, definitely. I would say it's just not all the students. It's for all of us. Today, all of us in some way or other, right, started using digital wallets from our phone. So the awareness and the basic courses needed for all. In fact, I said, Fortinet opened our training content. The first 2 level is open for anyone and everyone, for public. Today, anyone who's using mobile, right, need to have that level of access. Like, for example, they get a small message with a link. Why they should not click on the link? Why they should not fall for a trap, right? Those kind of awareness content is there, which students could start their cybersecurity career. And today, cybersecurity is a domain where now there's a huge skill set shortage, due to which there's an impact in the industry itself. It's just not for the sake of education, even for us to protect the infrastructure that we have built. Any kind of industry for that matter, right? Today, if we have to be confidently, securely operating, it could be an airport, it could be a transportation system we built, the critical infrastructures, power plant, hydro plants. If we have to securely operate them, we needed manpower who understands, right, the threat that is there for a specific industry, and accordingly protect their infra. So that awareness is needed for anyone, and today there's a huge skill set shortage. That's a very big opportunity for universities, for budding students who come out when they want to pick up a career. Like this is a domain which I'll recommend. There's a huge opportunity. Any number of students we could churn out in this domain, industry could observe. For example, if there's a need for 100 engineers today, we don't even have 20-30 engineers. So people are overloaded 2-3 times of work and they are not able to do justice. So this is a gap which India could address across the globe. Like the way IT brought a very big boom in our economy, cybersecurity alone could bring in a very big revolution, provided, right, we train our students with that cybersecurity awareness, and they could pick up opportunities in this domain. And what Fortinet as an organization, what we do is, as I said, we had right now opened up our complete training content, which has 8 levels. First 2 levels, I said, is open for public. The rest of the levels, which needs a certification from an external agency like Pearson VUE, where they charge around $400 for each exam, right? That is the exam voucher cost. What Fortinet has done is we have started establishing this academic collaboration with institutes, and now started offering these vouchers for training. I mean, faculties as well as students. So they could go through the online content, get themselves self-trained, or if needed, they wanted a instructor training, they could opt for it. and then they could get certified so that they could establish their credential outside, which adds a very big value when they go out in the industry. And this will help the industry as such. It's just not only for them to pick up a career or come out with a very good employable option, but it's also good for the industry, very big service we do for the industry, so that we could just keep building on whatever advancement what we had seen in any space we could take. It could be from banking, industrial area, anywhere, right? Today, if you have to securely operate or depend on these systems, security is of utmost importance, and the education institutions have a very big role to play. And in fact, we need to partner with all of them. Today, there are a select set of institutes who are already signed up as partnership with us, who are availing this. In fact, with no cost we are giving, like the way Mani was mentioning, right? We are just giving away the licenses needed to set up a live environment wherein they could experience a branch office, head office, a secure connectivity, a campus environment, right? They could actually set it up, manage it on their own. And also, we have come out with a new program wherein they could set up a honeypot to understand what kind of threat they are seeing in their environment. See, all these institutes are today connected to internet. They are exposed to a lot of risk. They could understand what is the risk they are seeing specifically in their network, and then start even building some kind of responses to it. So they could in tandem work with our R&D teams, see the pattern, and try to develop a signatures. That is the kind of capability or in collaboration what we are now ready to work with institutes. We need institutes also coming forward to make use of these options that are available, and then together, right, we could address these challenges and march forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Valan. So like you mentioned that the term you mentioned was cybersecurity revolution. So I'm sure that will secure entire tech India, not just the online education. So that's very heartening to hear. So I'm really happy. It was a great discussion, and we have covered all the topic: academia, skills, technology, even ethics. So I think we have covered everything. There's nothing more to say, but now I'd like you to maybe in 2-3 minutes just summarize it all. So I'd like to ask you all, what is your roadmap for the future of Indian tech education and how we can compete on the global stage? Just a brief, closing remark. So we can go in the same order. Professor Khanna, you can begin.
Thanks. Thank you for this lively and informative panel and discussion. So our roadmap at NIIT University is straightforward. We now have a BTech program for cybersecurity, BTech program for data science, and we continue to do research and industry practice, but this is at the bachelor's level. And so that is getting good traction. And that is, specifically looking at cybersecurity as an area which we need to find people in and skill people in. So to my mind, it's data science and cybersecurity, and this computer science family. And of course, a lot of research in materials and other things that go. Materials would be also be a big issue. So those two things.
I think now my turn, and Sunilji, should I talk about it? First of all, I must thank our moderator. Is such a great moderator. If the moderator is clear, then the situations are very, very clear. And second, thanks to both the industry partners. I most appreciate Dr. Mani and Mr. Balan initiatives which they are doing it for the academia like us. And I have attended so many webinars during lockdown of both of them. So thank you very much for giving these opportunities, and future also. Please keep on mentoring the educational institutes so that we can do wonders where your collaboration is always there. And coming to the question that what will be our roadmap for the future of Indian tech education, I think if I talk about that, it will be a very dynamic in nature. Dynamic means that online learning will hold, I think, 50% of the space. It will come under the hybrid learning, and university campuses will be virtual. The augmented reality, I think Dr. Khanna also mentioned, will hold a special place in our teaching learning pedagogies. Placement will be entirely skill-based instead of the degree-based. I think previously it was the degree-based. Now it will be the skill-based placements where industry will be coming to our respective classrooms and they will be talking about. So I think these are few points of futuristic roadmap for Indian tech education. which I think we all must align to quickly in coming times. We can compete on global stage by giving the global exposure to our students and the faculty members. If I have a time, I will give you in a very quickly that we are having a global week in our campuses. And for the last 10 years, we are doing it. And the impact of this is so global that the professors from those global universities where we have a collaboration with 165 university all across the globe, they are coming physically to the campuses. This time it was all online mode. And the people who were interacting with them, they have learned so much global education from talking to them, and they are doing the joint researches. They are co-guiding the PhD programs. So I think we have learned a lot when we went global and we were talking to the people from the global universities. So I think this will be the future of our tech education. And I think newer ways of shrinking the world, it is all already shrinked, and we have so many collaborative projects, even at student levels and even at the faculty levels. So thank you once again for making me a part of it.
Dr. Mani, you can.
So as I see it, right, we have been doing a couple of things right, and we need to keep doing more things in a better manner. Digital learning has really, opened up new space for us, right? It has really helped us scale learning big time. So let's try to, capitalize on that. As ma'am rightly said, it's going to be a hybrid approach of learning. Even the colleges reopen, and we already have in few places colleges reopen and in personal capacity. But the focus on emerging areas has to be there the way it is right now. We can no longer afford to overlook them. So technologies like AI, cybersecurity, hybrid cloud, data science, design thinking, they're already mainstream, and we really need to get our students hands-on with it. So as this the recruitment is more hands-on focused, skill focused. So students needs to actually garner these skills as we talk. Another thing is the learning has to be more like oriented approach. That's the only way to actually get the skills required. And that's the reason we keep doing our various programs. We do Hack Challenge every year. We started with something called as Project Buildathon this year, which is aimed not just for engineering but also non-engineering students. So anybody who is interested into developing skills on data analytics, machine learning, even pharma students, right? Even students who are studying in arts, commerce streams, Buildathon is open to them, right? So it's running from September. It will continue till next year, March 2022. Absolutely free of charge. Students can enroll. They can learn, different technologies as part of that. So that's going to be, hackathons are going to be the key approach of the way we identify talents, right? So it's really important for universities to invest in skills, both from faculty and students, in developing these skills. Back to you, Sunil. Thank you. Thanks for hosting us. It's been a great, lively discussion here. Thank you.
Great. So thanks. So I think Valan you have the concluding remarks for the panel.
Thanks, Sunil. So from Fortinet, we would be partnering with academics and ensure, first of all, the institutions are able to up and keep the functions running, be it admissions, the students content portal, or be it the exams online, for them to confidently do that. Whatever IT security controls that is needed, we definitely will partner with them, ensure that they are first of all able to operate in a secure manner. And the second part, ensuring that the cyber security potential, what is the academic institutions are able to effectively leverage that, so that they could take that knowledge to the students, and then they contribute back to the industry. So that too we'll aggressively participate by having our research and all other teams, right, engaging actively with this institution. Thanks, Sunil. Thanks for this very lively session. Thanks, madam.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
So what I like is I see that academia and industry has covered all the bases. One, and second, you appear to be in sync with each other in the collaboration. So yeah. I am very hopeful. I mean, the future of education is bright, seeing all these views, and it's great that you have given solutions and the way forward. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very informative, and I'd really like to thank all of you once again. So it was a great session.
Thank you, Sunil, and all the speakers for such an enriching discussion.